The moment someone truly closes the door on a narcissist marks a profound shift in psychological power dynamics that reverberates through both parties with seismic force. This isn't the temporary boundary setting or conditional distance that the narcissist has learned to manipulate around. It's the absolute irrevocable decision that they will never again have access to someone's emotional world. This closure represents more than ending a relationship. It's the reclamation of psychological sovereignty that the narcissist had systematically dismantled over time. The finality of this decision creates consequences that extend far beyond the immediate separation, fundamentally altering the landscape of both people's internal realities, the reclamation of personal reality. Closing the door on a narcissist requires the person to trust their own perception of reality, after years of having it systematically distorted through gaslighting and manipulation. This decision represents a profound act of self-trust, acknowledging that their experience was valid regardless of the narcissist's alternative narratives. They stop seeking external validation for their pain and instead validate themselves, breaking the cycle of dependence that kept them tethered to someone who weaponized their need for acknowledgement. This reclamation of reality creates an internal fortress that the narcissist can no longer penetrate. The person begins to recognize manipulation attempts in real time rather than hours or days later, seeing through the narcissist's performances with clarity that would have seemed impossible during the relationship. Their mind stops automatically questioning itself when presented with the narcissist's contradictory version of events, instead holding firm to the truth they've painfully excavated from beneath layers of distortion. The psychological freedom that accompanies this reclaimed reality feels simultaneously liberating and disorienting. Without the narcissist's constant redefinition of events, emotions, and interactions, the person rediscovers their natural thought patterns and authentic emotional responses. They realize how much mental energy was consumed by the constant work of reconciling contradictions and managing someone else's fragile ego at the expense of their own well-being. The severing of invisible chains. The decision to close the door severs psychological chains that had become so familiar they felt like natural parts of existence. The person discovers they had been living under invisible contracts, unspoken agreements to always be available, to prioritize the narcissist's needs above their own, to accept responsibility for the narcissist's emotional regulation, and to never fully disengage regardless of how poorly they were treated. Breaking these contracts feels like removing weights they had forgotten they were carrying. This severance triggers a cascade of realizations about how thoroughly the narcissist had infiltrated their decision-making processes, self-perception, and daily existence. They recognize how many choices were made to avoid the narcissist's displeasure, how many authentic feelings were suppressed to maintain false peace, and how much of their identity had been slowly eroded to accommodate someone else's insatiable need for control and validation. The person experiences waves of grief not for the narcissist themselves, but for the years spent in service to someone incapable of reciprocity. They mourn the version of themselves who believed love required constant self-sacrifice, who accepted breadcrumbs of affection as adequate nourishment, and who remained loyal to someone who viewed loyalty as weakness to exploit rather than a gift to honor. The irreversible transformation within. Closing the door fundamentally transforms the person in ways that make reopening it psychologically impossible. They've seen behind the curtain of the narcissist's carefully constructed persona and cannot unsee the machinery of manipulation that powers their behavior. This knowledge creates a permanent immunity to the specific brand of charm and manipulation that once held them captive, making future hoovering attempts feel pathetic rather than tempting. This transformation includes the development of boundaries so solid they feel like natural extensions of selfhood rather than defensive structures requiring constant maintenance. The person stops explaining, justifying, or defending their decision to maintain distance because they've internalized that their peace requires no external validation or approval. Their closed door isn't locked from fear of weakness. It's simply shut because what lies beyond it no longer serves their highest good. The most profound aspect of closing the door is the realization that it was never truly about the narcissist at all. It was about the person finally choosing themselves with the same fierce devotion they once directed towards someone fundamentally incapable of appreciating or reciprocating it. the closed door becomes a monument to self-love, a boundary that declares they will never again accept psychological crumbs from someone offering nothing of genuine substance.